Well, after the disappointment of missing out on promotion to the Championship through the playoffs, we now have a season review and summer of rebuilding as we attempt to go, I wasn't going to say one better, but I guess we have to go two better next season if we want to get promoted. We need to get to the final and then get promoted or finish in the automatic promotion. So if you need more details on how promotion works in football, Google it. Hello and welcome to part 73 of It's Coming Home. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have our summer transfers, our season review, and some good news because we've got the budgets in. They have kept my transfer budget that we generated by selling Alex Carmichael last season, but I've had my wage budget slashed from £51,000 a week down to £45,000 a week. What that actually means in practice is that we're now almost maxed out on our wage budget, and we're almost certainly just going to do that and put the wage budget back where it was and take the transfer budget away. But I'm not going to do that yet because that will depend on what players we need to bring in, who we identify, what our goals are for the season. Because although I would like to go one or two steps better and try and get promoted next season, obviously we were supposed to be in a relegation battle last season, or this season just gone. I don't know what the board expectation is going to be for next year. I don't know what the media expectation is going to be for next year. The fact we've not got much money and much wiggle room suggests we're not really going to be able to drastically improve the squad. It's going to be an interesting summer, I think, but we need to fast forward a bit and get to our end of season awards and stuff so we can do our season review. Well, it turns out we didn't have to fast forward very far. We haven't even had the playoff final yet, and we've got all of our end of season award stuff, including our all-time best 11, including Anthony Harris. As I get, this might be the first time in Football Manager history, certainly for me, that we've had a re-inductee in the all-time best 11, because he obviously would have been in this all-time best 11 for the first couple of seasons, and then I guess has drifted out of it and is now back. Interestingly, it's not just me who's got it in for Mick Powell, because nowhere in that team and nowhere on that bench is Mick Powell. James Hayter is still on the bench for the all-time best 11. There's no room for Mick Powell. And I don't know how he ever makes it back in, because with Harris there, Powell unlikely to ever be a regular starter again. It's sad, but I think we're going to get to the end of this series and Mick Powell's just going to be remembered. He was a good non-league striker, but he was never... If we'd have started in the National League South, he'd have played for us for a year or two. It's the fact that we started so low down is what allowed him to stick around for so long and be such an important part of the early years. But in the grand scheme of things, he wasn't good enough. Manny Parry is still in the starting 11. Humphreys is the other one who's made it into the team as well. I don't know, has he forced Civita out? Mail is still the goalkeeper on the bench. The bench, to me, seems weird. But our all-time best 11 now is Humphreys in goal, a back four of Webber, Parry, Proctor and Tanner, Phillips, Cottrell and Fernandez in midfield. No Dean Morris either. Wow, there's some decisions been made here. No room for Dean Morris in the all-time best 11. Phillips, Cottrell and Fernandez, then Tyler, Harris and Stanley as the front three, and a bench of Mayle, Carter, Critchlow, Noble, O'Brien, Benson, Buckley and Hayter. I'm starting to think there will be some significant divergence between the games version of the all-time best 11 at the end of the series and the one that we'll inevitably do for you to vote on. I don't think there's going to be much overlap between those two teams. So looking at our all-time best 11... the ones that are still at the club, we know who they are, obviously. Patrick Webber is at Burton because we sold him to them earlier in the season. Ben Cottrell now playing for Crewe. I remember him being at Yeovil, but he's now gone to Crewe, still playing in League Two. Prince Chiddy isn't in the all-time best 11. I don't know why we're being told about him. We've just looked at it and he wasn't there, and he wouldn't be there anyway because he's Prince Chiddy and he wasn't very good. Tanner's at Wrexham, but only on loan, I'm sure. Yeah, Tanner's on loan at Wrexham. Manny Parry still playing for Salford. Benson at Torquay. And now retired, we have Mayle, Carter, Critchlow, Noble, Buckley and Kieran Sheridan. Again, Kieran Sheridan I don't think was in the list either. I'm a little bit confused. I think we're glitching a little bit. The glitching has begun, boys and girls. So our end of season awards, Connor Stanley got player of the season, 44% of the vote, followed by Lewis Tyler on 27% and Archie Proctor on 18%. I think the fact that the two wingers have been the two favourites, I think that does seem about right. I think without our wingers, we would have struggled massively. And I think that was shown in those last couple of episodes for the promotion running, losing Tyler and messing around, not playing Stanley all the time. I think it really, really cost us. Anthony Harris got goal of the season. Let's have a look at Anthony Harris's goal of the season. One of, I think it was 22 goals he finished on in the end, which for a first season back and for a first season getting in double figures in the Football League, I'm not going to complain at all about 22 goals from Harris. I want 30 next season though, and this was our goal of the season. He scored a few of them as the season went on, but that was a pretty decent goal. Paul Perry got signing of the season in a season where we signed Anthony Harris. Definitely glitching. And Connor Stanley, still at age 24, is winning Young Player of the Season. He is forever young. He's now played over 200 games for us. How many times has Connor Stanley won Young Player of the Season now? Does it even say on there? We have to look on awards, don't we? He's won so many. So, I thought he won it previously. Young Player of the Year isn't on there, apparently. That's not an actual award. Fair enough. So Harris, top goal scorer on 21 goals. Tyler, top average rating, 7.07. Stanley and Tyler, again, showing how valuable they are, being top for assists with 9 each. Shane Phillips, as usual, best pass completion, 89%. And he must be closing in now and becoming our all-time record appearance holder as well, as he still plays most weeks, whereas McPowell doesn't. Tyler with most man of the match awards. Shane Phillips is a naughty boy. Season review, we massively overperformed. We already knew about that. And this is the 2018 team. Where are they now? The golden generation. We've got to check in on Dean Morris, as we always do. 14 England caps now. Valued at £28 million. Earns £95,000 a week. He's played 3 seasons in a row of regular football for Huddersfield in the Premier League. His big move must be coming, surely. Bournemouth and Southampton. You've got to think, for someone who's got 14 England caps, age 23, there's got to be a bigger next move than Bournemouth or Southampton. But maybe not. That's where the rest of them have ended up. Dynamics-wise, Powell, Fernandez and Proctor are our team leaders. Obviously, Lerick Fernandez, we might have seen the last of him. We say it most summers. We never know. He is out of contract with Barnsley this summer, but he was last summer as well, and they gave him a new contract. We will obviously try and sign him back permanently. He's one of our own. They always come home, and he is one of our team leaders. But as of right now, he's just going to disappear out into the free transfer player pool, possibly never to be seen again. Our end of season team meeting, I have no idea what our plan for next season should be. I think realistic, let's say top half. Show more ambition than top half. Interesting. Okay, let's make the playoffs. Fair enough. They think we can make the playoffs again. That's what we're going to aim for. The board are happy. Not happy enough to leave my budget undestroyed, though, are they? Pre-season can be there. Youth set up. We don't really have one. We can't afford to get one. Look how expensive it costs for the one we've got. Oh, my word. And now we'll just quickly check in on our Patreon players. Normally at this point we check in on Dean Morris and Anthony Harris. We don't need to check in on Anthony Harris. What we will do, though, is check in on Alex Carmichael, who we know disappeared in the summer to go and play for QPR. He's one who we might well be looking to bring in on loan this summer, especially if we lose out on Lerick Fernandez, just to keep the old boys all together. But Alex Carmichael's still not played a game yet for QPR. And if we have a look around the rest of the squad to see where we might find more of our Patreon players, I don't think we've obviously got David Sawinski and Lerick Fernandez in the first team squad. I don't think there's any more of the Patreon lot in there. Carmichael was the next one we were expecting to come through, and obviously he didn't, because we sold him for a lot of money. It wasn't that he wasn't any good. If we have a look into, in fact, let's look at under 18s and under 23s together. Interestingly, this youth intake was the first time no Patreon players were claimed, mainly because we only signed 2 players and they were both rubbish. It was a terrible youth intake this year. But of the youngsters that we've got, are you a Patreon guy? I don't. No, you're real. So you're not a Patreon guy. That looks like it might be a Patreon name. Are you a Patreon chap? You are. So Christian Alamodin looks like the next one who might come through. He's 17 years old. He's a striker. He's got a way to go before he forces his way into the first team. But he is the next one according to current ability. And if we just have a look at potential ability, which I don't know why it's... Oh, there we go. So if we sort them by potential... Drew Whalen, are you a Patreon player? You are, yes, you are a Patreon player. So Drew Whalen, he's the one with the most potential at the moment. He's been with us for 3 seasons now. Really, we need to be sending players like that out on loan. But if we just do a bit of a scroll through, so you can see if you are one of the Patreon people, you can see if your player still exists. If he doesn't still exist, let me know down in the comments or as a Patreon message, and I will go and find out if they're still in the game at all. And if they're not, you then become eligible for a re-roll and you can get yourself a new player. Someone who's already done that is Nathan Curry, so let's see if his player still exists in the game. It looks like you do, Nathan. You are a right wing and now playing for Dagenham and Redbridge, so came through the home youth system then, went to Bradford, then Buxton on loan, and now permanently Dagenham and Redbridge in the National League. So Nathan Curry carving himself out a professional football career for Dagenham and Redbridge. Another of the home old boys. In fact, he's not got the worst scout report in the world. Interesting. Very interesting. Right, looking at the squad, I think my big goal for the summer is to try and balance it out a little bit, because if we have a look at the first team, I noticed it when we were picking the team for the playoffs. You don't see it on that screen. I must have been looking at it on this screen. Looking at that first team, there we've got a small handful of standout players. Sutherland, who's here on loan, Sinclair, Harris, Marsh. But then we've got some players who are really quite poor. The 2 fullbacks, the goalkeeper, some of what we've got going on in midfield. Looking at our team report, there are certainly positions it would be nice to strengthen. I don't know if we're going to have the luxury to go out and target specific positions, but contradicting everything I was just saying, our 2 wingers look like they're major weaknesses. Connor Stanley and Lewis Tyler, only 2.5-star players compared to some of the players like Harris and Marsh and Sawinski and Fernandez. They're not really up to scratch. And to be fair, Connor Stanley has been with us since the Northern Premier League. So I'm not surprised if he might not be good enough for the push into the Championship, because when we signed him, we weren't expecting to sign a player who might one day play in the Championship. So, yeah, time might be running out for Connor Stanley. I'd like to keep him around the squad, but ideally as a backup. Likewise, Lewis Tyler, he's definitely here on loan next season, but it would be nice to bring someone in over his head who's better than he is, because we don't really have much in the way of backup. That's why Anthony Harris was playing out on the left wing towards the end of the season. If we don't get Sawinski and Fernandez back, either permanently for Fernandez or on loan, we are a little bit light in central midfield. Paul Perry, supposedly signing of the season. We didn't see much of him. Bakinson had a good year. Cannon, I just don't think Cannon is my kind of player. He's 30 years old and he's a ball-winning midfielder. Really not my kind of thing. So we might let him disappear. I've been saying it for 3 or 4 seasons now, but we probably need another defensive midfielder. Shane Phillips is great and has now played 269 games for the club. What a career this man has had. But it's similar scenario to Connor Stanley. He's a good player for most League 2 teams. If we are going to make that step up, he might one day be a good League 1 defensive midfielder, which is great, but he's 24 now, and one day I'd like to be in the Championship, and we kind of move beyond him again. So that's a position we could either strengthen or kind of move that position out of the tactic altogether. And I think the whole of the defence needs a bit of a refresh. Sutherland is great. Beyond him, not very much. Proctor, who's another one who's been around for a little while, signed him in the National League. He's been great for 4 years. Is he good enough for that next step? Sass Davis, you lot have been picking on for years. He's 26 now. He's obviously not good enough for the next step, but he's apparently as good as Proctor. Santos, Maguire, none of these lot are any good. Paldiak is all right, but I think we can probably do better. On the right hand side, Tanner, Daly Campbell, Simpson. We could do better. I think a whole new defence would be lovely. There's a lot we could do, but as ever, we're going to be restricted by money. We're going to be looking at what we can bring in on free transfers. We'll be bringing in a big bunch of Premier League youngsters as normal, hopefully with a few older players to throw into the mix, like Bakinson last season was a big success. And we'll see what we can find. Don't expect me to be spending much money, though. And I think loans are going to be crucial. So, I mean, you could chop that bit out. That can just be added into all of these transfer specials from now on. So, loans are going to be crucial. Gary Sutherland, we're not going to get him. And Karl Marsh, we're not going to get him. So that's arguably our two best players from the second half of last season. We're not good enough for either of them anymore. Loans are going to be crucial. We're just browsing around and notice this. First club legend. I'm quite happy with that. Save over. Job done. I'm a legend. Well, Barnsley won the playoffs in the end. It's who we were rooting for. Fingers crossed that simultaneously. I can't speak. It's going to be a long video. Simultaneously should mean it becomes a little bit easier to sign Lerik Fernandez for next season, whether on loan or permanently, because if they go up, they're not going to need him, so they can come out on loan. Plus, if they go up, they're more likely to just release him because they're definitely not going to need him. It also means the Holme and Chester story continues for another year, and fingers crossed we can go up in first and second next year, which would be perfect. Well, this was unexpected. He's only been here a year. Zlatko's been and gone. We need another we need a new director of football again. This is very familiar to last summer. New director of football incoming. Well, meet our new director of football, Tom Heaton. Let's see what he's been up to. He's actually been doing some director of footballing. Left Burnley in 2022. Previously been director of football of Stourbridge, then Torquay, and we've actually poached him off of Torquay, where he comes in to become our director of football. Not quite at Zlatko's level for judging ability and potential. I'm hoping, though, this is one of those appointments where he's got potential as a staff member and goes on to become a superstar who's going to be with me for years. He doesn't look overjoyed about joining, does he? But Tom Heaton, ladies and gentlemen, let's see what loans he can bring in for us. He's actually also our record signing at £29,000. I think. I don't think we've spent money on anyone before, have we? Have we ever spent any money? Oh, and we're about to sign Lerik Fernandez. Fingers crossed. First signing of the summer confirmed, and it is the extension for another year of David Sawinski's loan. So with us until the end of next season now. He is comfortably our best midfielder, even if, as hoped, we managed to sign Lerik Fernandez back permanently. Important to have Sawinski around. And also Tom Heaton has made his first step into the loan market. Chardonnay Matondo, who, again, I'm not really an attributes man, but I mean, he's not fully scouted, but he's 6'1" and he looks like he's fast and a good finisher. He could be quite handy. Played a championship game for Stoke last season as well. So we're just going to leave Tom Heaton to do what he wants to do with that one. Signing number 2 complete, and it is the permanent return of Lerik Fernandez. Possibly one of the finest pieces of transfer business in the history of football. Came through our youth system. We sold him for £100,000. Loaned him back immediately. He's been here on loan ever since. And now rejoins us permanently. Poor old Barnsley. I'm surprised they're not asking for their £100,000 back. But let's not get bogged down in those kind of details. Tom's at it again as well. He's after another striker, Matt Taylor. Clearly he's identified we need strikers. So we might have 2 strikers coming in on loans. Not to be outdone, I've also made a loan move because I want all my boys here. So I'm bringing Alex Carmichael in, hopefully. And it looks like Ricardo Santos is going to be leaving. But to be honest, on that kind of salary, I don't care. He can go. Carmichael is back in for the season on loan then, as is Chardonnay Matondo, who is a current England under-19 international, who's going to be playing at the under-19 European Championships this summer. He's a 4-star current ability, 5-star potential ability striker, 6'1", quick, proper love heart shape for a striker. I think we've got a superstar on our hands here. The other guy, Taylor, he's gone somewhere else. Where did he go? I don't know. Don't even care. He didn't. Wimbledon. There you go. That was the other striker that we were in for, but he's gone elsewhere. About a week until we can start nosing around free transfers, and we're already over our wage budget. But luckily, we are releasing quite a few players, including Ricardo Santos and his £2,000 a week in the near future. It's starting to look like this summer's big money sale is going to be Paul Perry, young player of the season, who I never really gave much of a chance to. I'm now starting to think maybe I should have done. He's up there ability-wise with Fernandez and Bakinson and Cannon. Better than Alex Carmichael, who's just come back in on loan. 5-star potential. He's potential to be, did it say on there? Yeah, championship central midfielder in future. Exactly the kind of player I guess we need to be keeping around. But we're getting offers of over £250,000 for him already. So they're non-negotiable offers, are they? Oh, hold on. Have they accepted that? The board have accepted the offer because it meets a minimum fee release clause. Oh, well, in that case, it looks like Paul Perry's leaving. Not even for a big amount of money. Why have we got a minimum fee release clause? Oh, a non-promotion release clause at 325. Right, let's try and negotiate a new contract with him. This is going to be a tall order. Look at how much money he wants. But if he's as good as he looks, let's get all these clauses off. Oh, I do feel like this should have been a player I was using all season. Right. Let's see if he accepts that. But those of you who love attributes, is he a player I should have been using all season? Let me know down in the comments. He might end up being one that got away. Is Humphries out of contract? No. So why would I renew his contract now? Right, a whole bunch of players have been released. Some notable ones in there as well. Collar, Tanner, Santos, Maguire, Matty Wolf, de Havilland, Pendlebury. They were all in and around the first team squad for the last few years, but they've all been moved on. Some of the youngsters have moved on as well. I panicked for a second there when I saw Lerick Fernandez and the word cancelled. But no, it was just our sell-on clause. Did we have a sell-on clause? Of course, that would be the one that we had a 50% sell-on on. Dean Morris, no sell-on there. Alex Carmichael, no sell-on there. The one thing we negotiated 50% sell-on, we signed back ourselves on a free transfer. It's the 1st of July. It's time to bring some trialists in. Hey, Paul Perry has signed a new contract with us. I don't know if that means the offers that were made for him are now null and void. It looks like they are. So now we get to find out if he was as good as apparently he appears to be. I think we might be doing this next season. Shh, don't tell anyone. But now we've got two really good strikers plus decent backup. Loads of top quality central midfielders. We need to bring in an attacking midfielder, and I'm working on that. And we've already identified wingers are a struggle, which makes sense, doesn't it? It's the middle of March. I've avoided doing it since FM18. I think I'm allowed to give it a go now. We obviously also still need to bring in defenders as well. We're struggling to find any that are any good. So attacking midfielder and defenders is now our priority, because I think we're going to do this. Couple more players have come in. It's not been the huge number of free transfers we would normally do. It's the 13th of July. We've only signed 2 players, in addition to the ones you already knew about. And one of them we've paid money for. Will Swan has come in as another option as a striker, but also an option as an attacking midfielder. I just expect him to be a backup, really, in both positions. But as it stands right now, he is our best attacking midfielder, because we still haven't found one. But we have found someone to play in the middle of a midfield 3. Luke McCormick comes in for £28,000 from Burton. Been playing at this level last season. Lots of experience at League 2. He's as good as David Sawinski. Better than everything else we've got in midfield. And leaves our team looking a lot like this. Strikers sorted. Midfield double sorted with bells on. Defence looking desperate. And we still don't have an attacking midfielder. And we've got very little money left. Luckily, I have got Tom Heaton working on a defender for us. Will hopefully end up being any good. But we're struggling a little bit at the moment, particularly money-wise. Luckily, I now need to go to bed, so I'm going to carry this on in a different shirt tomorrow after I've had time to ponder about it. Don't worry, the video's not ending. It'll be in like 10 seconds for you, tomorrow for me. That's why my shirt's changing and my hair will look flatter because I'll have been to the gym. It'll all be fine. I need players. Well, my hair's not all messed up after all because I haven't been to the gym yet. Yeah, that'll show past Kev. I've also fast-forwarded like 2 weeks. 2 reasons. One, because the only way I was going to get this video finished today was to finish the transfer window last night, sat on my laptop in my pants in the house and not able to record it. But secondly, I didn't realise the season started quite as early as it has. 1st of August, start of the new season. So, yeah, we didn't have time to do much more anyway. There were a couple more bits and pieces that we've got involved in. I think this squad is far from finished, though. I think you saw as far as Will Swan. I don't think you'd seen Luke McCormick, who we actually spent some money on. A 27-year-old central midfielder, our record signing. That gives me something to call this video. 3.5-star current ability. It makes him as good as Sawinski, better than any other midfielder we've got. And crucially, he's a ball-winning midfielder who can play in central midfield. He's a good player at this level. And he's been playing, well, he played last season for Burton at this level. Lots of experience at League Two. Formerly a Chelsea youth player. But he can, if we're going to do our midfield three, he can be the middle one of the three and just basically stand there kicking people, which is a very important role in the 4-3-1-2. And then last signing for now is a centre-back, Ross Wright. He's 21 years old, 3.5-star current ability, 5-star potential ability, much better than anyone else we've got at the club in this position. Spent last season on loan at Boston and will obviously come straight into our team. Like I say, though, the squad is far from finished. I still want to be able to do this system because we've got 2 very good strikers, plus Powell and Polasky and Will Swan even as an option as other strikers. So I think we have to do a 2-striker formation. We already know our wingers aren't really up to it. They were 2.5-star players. We've got so many good central midfielders now. Sawinski, McCormick, Bakinson, Cannon, Perry, Fernandez is now a permanent player here. And he's not even, I mean, that shows how good our midfield is. Lerick Fernandez, not even in the top 5 on there. There you go. He's down there. Shane Phillips, still knocking around and still getting better. He's still got potential to improve. Carmichael, of course, is back here on loan as well. So we've got a lot of good central midfield players. I would like another centre-back to go alongside Wright, but if we have to play Proctor, then we'll play Proctor or Sass Davis. Full-back-wise, Palyuk and Daly Campbell and Simpson, they're probably all good enough. None of them really let us down last year. It would be nice to have some more strength in depth, though. Cannon can deputise on both sides. Pasala, we know, can do a job. And Humphreys, Civita, they're a good enough first and second choice goalkeeper. So what I would like to do before the window closes, but it'll be in the next episode now, is we do need a proper attacking midfielder. Will Swan and Paul Perry are options there for us for now. Even Sawinski could potentially do it. But we need a proper 4-star attacking midfielder. We do have a little bit of money to spend to be able to do it. Of course, we do have a little bit of a problem with already being over our wage budget, but we'll do our best to try and find an attacking midfielder. If we can't, then I guess the next logical step is go back to the old system, maybe, with Stanley, with Tyler, but it does just mean sacrificing some of these central midfielders, and that's where most of the quality in our squad is, in central midfield, so it makes sense to use as much of it as possible. I guess one option would be abandon the attacking midfielder and stick Shane Phillips in as a defensive midfielder, and then have the midfield 3, Sawinski, Fernandez, Bakinson, all pushing forward. It's an option we could try if we can't find an attacking midfielder. But that does bring us to the end of the not the end of the transfer window, but the end of pre-season, because the new season starts right now, and that will be tomorrow's video. Shrewsbury and Plymouth as our first couple of games of the season. To give you an idea of what to expect, this is the team we're going to be playing. We've got injuries to Palyuk again. Palyuk? I can never remember the man's name. Palyuk. He's injured again. He was injured at the end of last season. Now he's injured again. It's not the same injury. So we're going to play Cannon at left back. Like I said, he can deputise on both sides, and he's never going to get in the team in midfield. Humphreys is also injured. He's going to be out for the first 3 weeks of the season, so it's the return of Civitar in goal, who never let us down before, but it'll be Civitar in goal, a back four of Cannon, Proctor, Wright and Simpson. Fernandez, McCormick, Sawinski is the midfield three, and that looks like a very solid midfield three. Swan in front of them. I guess if we have to, we could push that player further forward and make Mick Powell part of a three with Harris and Matondo. Or, like I say, bring Shane Phillips in just there. So we've got options to play around with it if we need to. We've got another of our Patreon boys who's going to make it onto the bench. Theodore Thatcherson. What a name. I can mock that one because I know that's Matt Quine, who did a made-up name because he didn't think I'd be able to say it. Well, that showed you, Matt. Theodore Thatcherson. Easy peasy. It's not the best team in the world. However, this guy is going to be a superstar. Chardonnay Matondo. He's the pre-season media favourite to be League One Player of the Year. I think if we can keep him fit and find a system that works for him with Anthony Harris alongside him, I think that's the key. If we can get those two playing together as a partnership with a decent midfield behind them, gap these bits that are a bit weak, they might not be that much of an issue. We could stick Stanley in and put him out there, or Tyler out there, leave the midfield three as it is. It doesn't really matter who this guy is if these three are good enough and those two are good enough, and I suspect they might be. But we've still got that issue that we talked about at the start of the video of some very good standout players and then some really poor players filling in the gaps, which I guess when you've got a budget like ours is only to be expected because we are pretty much maxed out for player. We can't afford anybody else. So we can't afford to have 3.5 4-star players in every position. Hopefully we've picked the right ones to put them in. We'll find out tomorrow, I guess. If you have enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.